something strange happens in your 30s. Your income finally rises. The entry-level salary is behind you. The raises start landing. Maybe there's a title with the word senior in it now. And yet you look at your net worth, the actual number, and it barely moves. You're earning more than you ever have, and somehow you don't feel richer. That is not bad luck, and it is not a character flaw. It is a trap, a specific, nameable, almost universal trap that springs quietly in this exact decade, and it catches good earners more than anyone. Today, I'll show you exactly how it works, why the typical number in your 30s looks better than it feels, and how to be one of the people it never catches. This is the second stop on the money hill, the decade of ages 35 to 44, and we're going to unlock 6 things about it. 1. The typical household finally goes positive, but positive is not the same as a plan. 2. The famous 1 times your salary by 35 benchmark and how loose it really is. 3. Lifestyle creep, the raise you technically got but never actually saw. 4. The leak years, when a house, kids, and cars all drain cash at once. 5. Why even now, how much you save still beats what the market does. And 6. The decade where the front loaders and everyone else quietly split apart for good. 2 numbers first, then those 6. Picture the money hill from the first episode. Net worth as a slope you climb across a lifetime. In your 20s, you were down at the bottom near zero, and that was normal. Now you've walked a little way up. You can feel the ground rising under you. This is the stretch where a financial life stops being theoretical and starts having real weight. So here are the 2 numbers for this decade, and as always, you get a pair, not a single figure. The average net worth for households aged 35 to 44 is around $549,000. Sit with that for a second, because it's a big number and it's about to lie to you. The median, the real, typical household standing in the exact middle of everyone this age, is about $135,000. Look at the distance between those two. The average is roughly 4 times the median. That gap is the same gap from the first episode, a handful of very wealthy households at the top dragging the average up into a number that describes almost no one. When someone waves 500 grand at you and asks why you're not there, they're showing you the billionaire in the room number. The 135 is the honest one. Everything from here builds on that pair. Let's start with the good news because there genuinely is some. For most of your 20s, the typical household net worth hovered near zero, and for a lot of people it was negative, more owed than owned. In this decade, that flips. The median clears 6 figures for the first time. $135,000 of real positive net worth sitting in the middle of the pack. That is a milestone, and you're allowed to feel good about it. The line finally crossed from red into black. But here's where I have to be honest with you, because not negative anymore is a surprisingly low bar to celebrate. Going positive is a threshold you crossed, not a destination you arrived at. $135,000 sounds like a lot until you ask what it has to do. It may need to fund 30 years of retirement. It's often not even liquid. A big slice of it is trapped in home equity you can't spend without selling the roof over your head. And at typical spending, that number covers maybe 2 or 3 years of an actual life. It's a foundation, not a finish line. So the trap in Unlock 1 is emotional. The relief of finally being positive can quietly convince you that the hard part is over, that you can ease off now. It isn't, and you can't. Crossing zero means the machine is finally built and pointed the right way. It does not mean the machine is big enough. Think of it like a rocket that has just cleared the launch tower. Leaving the ground is the whole point, but you are nowhere near orbit. Positive is the starting gun for the decade that actually builds wealth, not the tape at the finish. Treat the 6-figure milestone as permission to press harder, not permission to coast. Now let's talk about the benchmark you've almost certainly seen. The one that says by the time you're 35, you should have roughly 1 times your annual salary saved. Earn 80,000. You should have about 80,000 put away. It's a clean, quotable rule. One popular firm built a whole ladder of these numbers, and it gets repeated everywhere without the fine print. So let me give you the fine print. First, what it actually measures. That one-time salary usually means money in retirement and investment accounts. Not your house, not your car, not your checking buffer. It's a retirement readiness yardstick, not your full net worth. So if you're comparing your total net worth to it, you're comparing two different things and scaring yourself for no reason. Second, and more important, it is deliberately, almost comically loose. 1 times by 35 is a soft checkpoint on a much longer road. The same rule of thumb wants 3 times your salary by 40, 6 times by 50, 8 by 60, 10 by 67. The early markers are gentle precisely because they know your 30s are chaotic. The house, the kids, the cars we're about to get into. Missing 1 times by 35 is not failing. It's a nudge, a rough temperature check, not a verdict. So use the benchmark for what it's good for, a direction, a loose sense of whether you're roughly on the road. If you're near it, good. If you're behind it, this decade is exactly when a rising income can close the gap. Don't let a round number designed as a nudge become a source of shame. Here's the trap itself, the one this whole episode is named for. It's called lifestyle creep, and it is the single biggest reason good earners in their 30s build so little. It works so quietly that most people never notice it happening to them. The mechanics are simple. Your income climbs. A raise, a bonus, a new job. And the logic seems obvious. I earn more now, so I can afford more now. So the apartment becomes a house with a bigger payment. The reliable car becomes a nicer one with a monthly note. The subscriptions multiply, the dinners out get more frequent, the whole baseline cost of your life ratchets up. And it ratchets up by almost exactly the amount of the raise. So the gap between what you earn and what you spend, the only gap that actually builds wealth, stays exactly the same width it was before the raise. You got the raise. Your net worth never saw a dollar of it. That's why this feels so strange from the inside. You are genuinely earning more. You are genuinely not getting richer. Both are true at once, and lifestyle creep is the bridge between them. The cruel part is that it's invisible. Nobody decides to sabotage themselves. Each individual upgrade felt reasonable and earned. It's the sum that quietly eats every raise you'll ever get. The fix is almost embarrassingly simple to say and hard to do. When your income goes up, don't let your spending rise to meet all of it. Bank the gap first, automatically, before the bigger life has a chance to expand into the new money. Let some of every raise reach your net worth before your lifestyle claims it. Do that, and you've disarmed the trap this decade is named for. Now, in fairness, your 30s aren't just lifestyle creep. Some of the pressure is real, and it all tends to land at once. I call these the leak years because 3 enormous cash drains often arrive in the same short window, and together they can make a rising income feel like it's evaporating. The first is the house. For most households that ever build real wealth, the home is the single biggest asset they'll own. But the entry into it is brutal. The down payment can vaporize years of savings in a single afternoon. Then come the closing costs, the furniture, the repairs nobody warned you about. The second is kids. Child care alone can cost as much as a second rent, and that's before you've bought a single thing they need. And the third is cars. Often 2 now, each with a payment, insurance, and the slow bleed of depreciation. Here's the crucial distinction that keeps this from being pure doom. Not every one of these drains is the same kind of spending. The house is split. Part of your payment is consumption, but part of it quietly builds equity. It's forced saving in disguise. The kids and the cars, mostly, are pure consumption. So the skill of this decade isn't avoiding these costs. Most of them are the texture of a full life. The skill is knowing which drains build something and which just drain, and refusing to let the pure consumption ones creep any larger than they have to. Survive the leak years without letting them swallow the gap, and you come out the other side with the machine still running. Here's the one that surprises people, and it's genuinely good news. In your 30s, how much you add to the pile still matters more than what the market does to it. Your savings rate still beats your returns. The math is just about size. Say the typical household has that $135,000 invested. A great market year, call it 10%, grows it by around $13,500. Wonderful. But you had zero control over whether the market delivered that. Now compare. If you save even $1,000 a month, that's $12,000 a year you added with your own hands. Roughly the same as the entire market gain, except this part you completely control. At this balance, what you put in is still in the same league as what the market gives you. You are still the main engine. That flips later, and this matters, so hold on to it. In a decade or two, when the pile is 5 or 10 times bigger, a good market year can grow it by more than you could ever save from a paycheck. That's the crossover, when your money starts out earning you. But you are not there yet. In your 30s, you are still the biggest force acting on your own net worth. Why does this matter so much emotionally? Because it means the outcome is still in your hands. You don't have to pray for a bull market or pick the perfect stock or catch the next hot thing. The lever that moves your number most is the one you control completely, the amount you shovel in every month. The market's mood is noise you can't manage. Your savings rate is signal you can. That's not a limitation. That's the most reassuring fact in this entire decade. Which brings us to the last unlock, and it's the one with the longest shadow. This is the decade where two people who looked identical at 30 pull apart for good, and once they separate, they basically never converge again. Picture two households. Same age, same income, same city, same starting point. At 30, they were indistinguishable. Then one becomes a front loader. They keep their lifestyle roughly flat, bank every raise, max out the retirement match, and quietly shovel the gap into investments through their whole 30s. The other lets lifestyle creep run, every raise absorbed, saving whatever happens to be left over, which is usually not much. For a few years, honestly, the spender looks like they're winning. Nicer house, nicer car, better vacations. On the outside, they look ahead. But underneath, the front loader is feeding money to compounding at the age when compounding has the most time left to work. Every dollar they invest in their 30s has 30-plus years to grow. The spender's identical dollars, invested in their 50s instead, get a fraction of that runway. So the two lines start to diverge, slowly at first, then unstoppably. And by their 50s, they're standing in completely different financial worlds, despite earning the same paychecks their whole lives. That's why this decade matters out of all proportion to how it feels while you're in it. The gap between the front loaders and everyone else doesn't open at retirement. It opens here, quietly, in a decade that felt like it was mostly about daycare and mortgage payments. The good news, right now, today, you still get to choose which of those two households you become. So how do you actually beat the median in this decade? How do you become the front loader instead of the cautionary tale? It comes down to two moves, and neither one requires earning more than you already do. The first move is to kill lifestyle creep at the source. The next time your income rises, decide in advance where the raise goes before it ever hits your checking account. Send a chunk of every raise straight to investing automatically on the day it starts. If your lifestyle never sees that money, it can't expand to swallow it. You keep some of the raise for a better life. That's the whole point of earning more. But your net worth finally gets a cut, too. The second move is to automate the gap, so your own willpower never has to make the decision twice. Set the transfer to your investment accounts to fire on payday before you can feel the money and find a use for it. Capture the employer match if you have one. That's free money the front loaders never leave on the table. And then let it run, boring and automatic, through the leak years and the raises and the chaos. You don't have to time the market or pick winners. You just have to make sure that in a decade defined by things trying to eat your money, A fixed, protected slice reaches your future before anything else can claim it. So tell me in the comments, did your raises reach your net worth or did lifestyle quietly eat them first? Be honest, we've all fed the trap at least once. Wherever you are on the hill, the next dollar you protect from creep moves you up it. This is education, not financial advice. Next time we climb to your 40s, the decade the math finally gets honest, where am I behind stops being a feeling and starts having a real dollar answer. I'll see you there.